You're going to find me the best interview you ever had.
Let's hope so. Hey everybody, this is Jobs Not Steve, and I'm Luke Fraley with my co-host
Dylan Barice.
And here today we have a guest for you, straight up from L.A.
Hey there.
Come a long way. And this is Andy.
Andrew Yevish. I'm somewhat of a filmmaker, movie producer, director, and hopefully a star, so we'll see what happens.
Out of all the things that would have come to us from L.A., I would imagine that this would have been the number one job that probably would have come to us from L.A.
Or at least the number one job everybody aspires to have, right?
Well, you know, the one thing I've learned about being in L.A. is that even if you've made it, it's still, you know, you're still aspiring to be that, because unless you're Brad Pitt or somebody on that level, and even if you are, you know, you have to maintain that. You have to be on that level all the time. And for me, I'm just trying to get to that level.
So have you made it or no?
I'm not Brad Pitt yet.
You're not Brad Pitt?
No, I'm not Brad Pitt yet. I mean, my movie is called Fake It Till You Make It. So it's coming out in 23. It was supposed to come out in 22, but things take longer than they're supposed to take.
Do you think COVID had anything to do with that, maybe?
Actually, COVID kind of helped me.
Really?
Yeah. COVID made, since I'm an independent filmmaker and I'm spending my own money on this movie, it made everybody cheaper to hire, because they weren't working. And I got locations easier. Right. They weren't making any money at a bar, so if I gave them $300 for the day...
You couldn't have planned it better than that.
I couldn't have planned it.
You had a bunch of starving artists out there.
I'll tell you a secret. I created COVID so that my movie would work. You know?
Perfect. See that?
Oh my God. Jobs Not Steve, we are just killing it here on all the conspiracy theories.
We're killing it. Yeah. So if you can add me to the Alex Jones show with
everybody.
I created COVID.
Exclusive here. We have
we
now have the start to COVID, the whole cause.
So anyway, it's great to be here. This studio is fantastic.
So please tell me what it's like. What is it like to start COVID? No, I'm just kidding.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's like,
but honestly, what is it like living in LA? It's got to be nuts.
Well, I wouldn't call it nuts. LA is like any other place. You go there and it has its own feel. You know, it's different from, obviously, I was from Sherman, Connecticut for a long time, and you know, Sherman is this little, you know, nothing town.
One of the smallest towns in the state.
One of the smallest towns, but there's some celebrities who live there. Daryl Hall and Marilyn. No, is it Rob Zombie?
Are we supposed to say that?
That's fine. It doesn't matter.
I always get
it's on Google, right?
confused.
Daryl even did it. Yeah.
I mean,
the selling point's close to New York City, right?
And Jeffrey Toobin from CNN is there. I mean,
every
can't get any bigger than him. But Sherman is a very interesting small town, but I mean, you go to LA, it's a whole different feel. I mean, you are in a place where people are there to further their career. They're there to make a name. They're very motivated people. They're the people from each little town throughout the country went out there to make something of themselves, be in the industry, be a star. You know, so
how long you been doing this? How long you been chasing after this idea? You know, because you had said that you're also using your own money to fund this. So how long have you been doing this, and what do you do in the meantime to get the money to fund this project?
I did very well on money with investments, and I was an artist, and I was a retail entrepreneur where I had a chain of stores called Fame and Superstar stores. Most of them were Fame. We were on the boardwalk in Wildwood, New Jersey. Still are. We still have our one mother store left.
What do you guys sell in the store?
Music
Hollywood,
or drawing or what kind
rock
of
and
art?
roll and Hollywood memorabilia, kind of like a lot of band shirts and licensed goods, and it's kind of a contrast to the iron-on shops that are all illegitimate up there. We have the real brand name stuff.
Do you guys get autographed stuff too and everything?
No, we don't deal with the high end. We're all dealing with kind of, the average tourist in Wildwood has about $50 to spend.
And you want
unless they're a big spender. Unless they're a big spender, then they might have 100. But autographed goods is out of the normal budget range, at least for us. You know, we were trying to sell a lot of hamburgers, not one steak. So it's
there you go. Yeah,
we did well with it, and I decided to go to Hollywood. I've always been artistic. I was a visual artist for a lot of years, doing portraits. I got my start as a caricature artist on the boardwalk in Wildwood, and then I got into music, doing recordings, and I guess you guys have a couple of my recordings here with Taylor, your producer, who's working on some things for my soundtrack, and then I decided, what's the best way to expand that? Well, it's to go into filmmaking and making movies. I didn't intend to do that originally. I intended to just go in and act, see what was out there. But realize if somebody's going to give me a part, I have to make the movie and give myself the part. That way I get a starring role and not have to wait, years online.
Not go get your SAG card.
Be a waiter for
extra
5 years before you
like,
finally
look,
wait on somebody to put you in a movie.
No,
yeah,
now,
look, there I am. I'm the guy. I just handed him a cocktail.
Now I have the waiters and bartenders chasing after me to be in my movie. So it's
Perfect.
Some
That's
of them
awesome.
Some of them are hot chicks, so it kind of works.
That must be a really fun.
That never hurts.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But and it must be a really fun thing just to, like you said, to kind of give that opportunity to other people and have the ability to do that. You know what I mean? And you could potentially be making, somebody else's dream come true by asking them to be in your movie.
There's an old saying in Hollywood. It's called, "We don't do business, we make friends." And what's funny is my movie, the script was not started first. I started meeting people and I wrote characters around the people I made. Like, what could this person be? What could they, in this movie ideal world, what could they portray? A lot of times it was something they were, and sometimes it was things like I would think in my mind, like, what could they be in an alternate universe, and what would fit their personality. And that was kind of how we came up with my movie, which is called Fake It Till You Make It, and it's actually now it's finished shooting and we're in post-production. I'm hoping it comes out sometime in 23, early enough to make the film festival circuit.
So we're say that's not too far away.
No, we're like right there.
Sounds like basically it's a portrayal of your journey for the last 2.5, 3 years, right?
It is. I started as a caricaturist on the boardwalk, so it's a caricature of my journey.
So it's a comedic movie.
It's a comedy, yes. It's got some borderline slapstick things, a la Mel Brooks and Airplane and movies like that. But on the other hand, it also has a serious side, which there's a lot of touching parts. There's things that everybody can identify with, because deep down, who among us didn't dream at some point of being a star on some level? Being a movie star, being a professional athlete, being a recording artist, being somebody we've always looked up to.
Hey, I mean, you're sitting here talking to me and Dylan here, and I don't know about Dylan, but I've always thought about that, and I mean, here I am with my own podcast now.
Right,
it's
it's like something we want.
So
it's something we always dream about doing.
I had this crazy idea. I was like, you know what? Let's do this. So I can relate. I know know exactly what you're talking about.
I can't relate, but I am intrigued.
Yeah, Dylan didn't come into this. I presented this to him. He actually was my first interview.
Really?
Yeah. And then he decided, and then he came in and he was like, that was fun. I'll come in and do another one.
To come in here.
You were the big star of the area.
So
yeah.
Well, basically, I was like, let's try with two hosts instead of one, because originally I did all my podcasts, the first ones were by myself.
You guys kind of have that Howard Stern and Robin kind of thing going on now.
You're Robin. I'm totally Howard. I'm taking Howard.
I would take either one of their paychecks, so I'm not going to get offended.
I would totally take either one of their paychecks. So there's speaking of paychecks, there's an old saying in Hollywood, and this is the last line that appears in my movie after the credits and everything. It says, how to make a small fortune in Hollywood.
Start with a large fortune.
Start with a big one. Hey, there you go. Stealing my thunder there, man.
That goes across a lot of industries.
Yeah, I was going to say racing, auto racing. They say the same thing.
They say the same thing.
You're either born into it or you buy into it.
Yeah. I mean, I follow fishing. They say if you want to make $1 million in fishing, start out with $1 billion.
Start with $1 billion. Yeah.
So,
you better like fish, though. So I mean, I think the thing is when you go to LA, the big difference when you go in there, to get back to what we were talking about before, is that LA is full of dreamers. It's filled with every person from every little town who always had this dream to be a star, who all went there. And people are like, oh well, can you go meet your dream girl in LA? Can you find your forever relationship? And the answer is probably not, because people aren't there for that. People aren't there to get married and raise a family. They're there to be somebody.
Pursue a dream.
Is that a suggestion that nobody in LA is worth any of that? There's no real people in LA?
No, I'm not saying they're not real.
No, not you. I mean, whoever said that to you.
They want something different. They want something else. They're not looking to go there to settle down and raise a family.
Focused on a goal.
They're focused on goals. it's funny. It's like if you go to like Alabama and some little town somewhere, the girls are nervous if they're not married by 22, to their high school sweetheart. You go to LA, they're not sure if they're even, mature enough to get married and have kids when they're, 45. It's like it's a whole other thing. You're figuring out your goals as far as career and life, and
I imagine too, like a lot of reasons behind that, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I imagine looks are a big thing in LA as well, right? Like you kind of want to keep
good looking.
You want to keep your looks.
You want to keep your looks. Now, some people play on ugly. It's a marketable
There's a
skill
market
if you
for
do
everything,
it right.
right?
You can play on different and not really ugly, but like different.
Steve
goes a long
Buscemi.
way.
I mean, come on,
Oh, right.
the guy's freaking.
Well, some people
Sorry,
actually do make it on their talent.
Sorry, Steve, but holy crap.
I'll give Steve a shout out. Some people actually
you're
do
also
make it on their ability, and I mean, Steve didn't make it on his looks, but he made it on. He has a look that's marketable. He's funny.
Yeah.
He's
Steve,
like
he's
he can
amazing.
he can
Every
look.
role
He
One
can.
of my favorite
he
actors
fits
ever.
every role he plays. That's
Steve,
for
if
sure.
you ever hear this, please come on the show.
Oh, tell him, Steve, you need to come on the show.
You're my
You
hero.
need to be in my next
Mr.
movie.
Pink,
It's
Mr.
like.
Pink, come on in the show.
But that's a good example of how I would cast my movies. So I would meet people who I thought were not necessarily beautiful, but interesting, beautiful in their own way. They were interesting. They had a certain angle, a certain thing, a certain, what they would call an archetype. And we would have, I would look at them and say, this guy could play kind of a weaselly sort of, superintendent of a building, or this guy could play a psychiatrist who's like overly invasive, or this girl could play a vamp who is like seen her better days, but and is playing on her one big break she got 15 years ago. So there's all these different things we look with people. They have a certain look, a certain vibe they give off, and you can translate that into a character in a movie. And if they are actually sort of that to begin with, you don't have to teach them how to act it.
All right, I gotta ask you, what's my vibe?
How would I cast you? That's a tough question. You put me on the spot. Let me take a sip of my drink here.
Please, I'm
Okay.
interested in this.
We got this Rebel Yell root beer whiskey that they got as a sample here, and it's pretty good stuff. I mean, it's 35% alcohol, so it's doing a good job. So how would I? What vibe would I get from you?
Our producer Taylor, he's also a bartender
Yeah, I see that
here in the studio. He hooks us up in our.
But he didn't have any ice. He
Top,
didn't
top
have.
notch, top.
There was no ice baby in the drink. I wanted my ice.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Slim pickings here.
so how are we going to your vibe? You see, I would probably say you fit a very good everyman kind of vibe. Like you have a face that's kind of like you would be a good male lead in a comedy. I would say you would be a good like a romantic comedy male lead where like the really you like the hot girl.
Hear that, Ben?
And the hot girl is
I hope my
ignoring
wife
you.
is listening to this.
The hot girl is ignoring you, maybe, but meanwhile, like the right girl kind of notices you and you get her in the end. That's how I would kind of cast you, I think. Yeah, you have that kind of everyman.
That was kind of my actual story, to be honest with you.
Probably. Well, I'm
oblivious,
very
focused
perceptive
on
that
the
way.
wrong thing, and then
Who's that actor who was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Oh my God, that
You
was
know the
such
one-
an amazing movie, though.
Yeah, the main guy. You kind of remind me
I
of
know
that
who
sort
you're
of
talking about. I don't know his
archetype.
name, but that was such a great movie. It really that was hilarious. I don't do full frontals though.
Well, we're not going to ask you to. But like, hey, at least when he did a full frontal, he was kind of impressive. Like the guy from, the Mr. Chow from The Hangover, he did one. I mean, like that was like, dude, if I was
I
like,
guess it depends. It depends on how big the paycheck is.
if I was like that less endowed, I probably wouldn't have the
add a
balls
couple
to do
zeros
that.
to the
well, like you
paycheck
said, there's a
and
market
I
for
might do it.
everything, though, right? So
Yeah,
I had the
yeah.
comedic value.
I bet you there's probably stunt dicks out there too.
Well, I'm sure Mark Wahlberg in
You have
Boogie
a
Nights
dick
wasn't
double.
all, when we saw Mark Wahlberg in Boogie Nights, I'm sure he didn't have all that.
also.
It's like I'll have a porn star stand in for me for my dick shot, and then I'll send it on my dick pics to any of the prospective Instagram models that I'm interested in.
Oh my God. So I gotta ask you the same thing about Dylan because
Go ahead.
why not? He's pretty
Truck
constant,
driver
too.
without a talking girl.
Smoking the Bandit remake.
Oh, God.
extra.
So what
You want to ask where would I cast him?
Yeah,
well,
where would you
Dylan
cast
has a
Dylan?
very unique look. He's got that beard. And
Can I
must-
tell you? Can I tell you what I would cast Dylan before
Go
you?
ahead.
Well,
Yeah,
let's,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
let him
No,
go
I-
first.
I know,
because
no,
he's
no, he
one
wants
from
to
LA.
say something.
I know
Let
he's
him
one
do
from
his
LA, but
thing,
I want to
yeah.
see if I nailed it or not. I want
Go
to see
ahead.
if
Let's
we're
see
on the same
how good
page.
you are. I'll see if we're on
I'm
top.
thinking like badass biker, right?
Oh, I could totally
Who, like,
see
who,
that.
like you're scared of. But
He
then,
has that
but
look.
then he has that cuddly side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has that look. Well, the nice thing about it is, okay, so if you were casting somebody in the role of a villain or in a role of like a side, I would see him as a sidekick, kind of like a sidekick villain, kind of, you know. And
Just
but the thing
co-hosting.
is, a good villain has to be charming. You know, remember Christoph Waltz in like Inglourious Bastards?
Okay.
And he was this Nazi, like, but he was charming, and he would talk, and he spoke all these languages,
Oh, yeah.
and he would schmooze you,
Oh,
and,
yeah,
you know,
he
it was
did.
like,
He was,
you know,
yeah.
so you have to have like that charming, likable villain, because characters can't be cardboard unless you're going for. But you have to have something. Everybody loves a good villain. I don't see him as a real 100% villain type, but I see him as kind of like the kind of fucking up sometimes sidekick
Like the
to the
Emma,
villain.
like yeah.
You know,
like,
yeah, I would probably cast him as like, you know, like he was supposed to do the task, the thing that was, and he fucks it up somehow, and like,
Is he like the Kevin Spacey in Usual Suspects?
no, Kevin Spacey
Is he,
was Kaiser
is he the
Soze.
Kaiser
He was
Soze?
like the-
Is he the Kaiser Soze?
no, he's not the Kaiser Soze. I don't know. I wouldn't put him aside. But
So,
look,
I mean,
you
I'll
never
play
know.
any role you want to put me in. So just give me a call anytime. I don't care.
Airfare included.
He has a very, he has, he has a very
no,
friendly
I'm not paying
personality. So he has a very friendly personality. Did you ever see The Three Amigos?
No, I don't.
So The Three
Like
Amigos,
the original one with
with Chevy Chase,
Chevy
and
Chase,
Martin Short, and
yes,
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, yep.
Okay, so the villain in The Three Amigos was El Guapo. And El Guapo had a henchman named Jefe. And Jefe, like El Guapo was just like, you know, I'm El Guapo, you know? And like, he would say to El Guapo, well, you know, why are you upset, El Guapo, you know? And he's like, you know. And they would say, the reason you're upset is maybe you're turning 40 today? And he's like, He's like, Jefe, you know, Jefe was like, I'm not as smart as you, El Guapo, but I think the reason you are upset today is you are turning 40. He's like, shut the fuck up, you know, Jefe. You know, something. I don't remember the movie that well.
Yeah.
I don't know if I improv that well, but that's who he kind of reminds me of. The henchman, the kind of likable henchman.
The
to
wise
main
ass.
villain.
Yeah, I can do that.
Does good, yeah, and he does good, and he's likable, and the fans like him. You know, he's not a villain really. He's like the henchman to the villain that we like. You know, and I would put him there.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I'm not
Cool.
gonna lie.
I mean, I'll
Yeah.
play the one they don't like too. I don't care. So whatever. Like I said,
To not be
call me
liked,
anytime.
you know what's funny in film? To not be liked is a skill.
Yeah, I bet.
Because if you're a protagonist, you have to be likable. If you are an antagonist, people gotta hate you, and in some ways, they gotta love to hate you. So you can be likable as a villain, as an antagonist, but you can also really be a villain who's like so rotten you can smell him. You know, there's some movies where the villain doesn't have a lot of charm. He doesn't have anything, but he's very, very. You just hate him. You can't wait to the scene where he gets fucking killed. You know.
Oh yeah, and then the best movies are when he doesn't get killed.
He does get killed. Or the ones you think he's going to get killed and he doesn't. You're just wanting to see that sequel so you can see him get killed. You know?
So, one of the things, I have a secret for you about myself.
Yes.
Is that I actually I did video production in college.
Really?
And, yeah, and when I was in high school, I wanted to be in the movies. And
You did?
so- yeah, I did. That was one of my goals.
See, this is we call in Hollywood, we don't do business, we make friends. So this is like one of those
Yeah, here we
kind
go.
of
Making
things.
friends.
You never know. I do a movie. I met somebody that looks like you. I need a part for somebody that looks like you. Oh, hey, how's it going, man? You want to come out to LA and do a...
Oh yeah, I used
Do a
to. I mean,
role.
I spend all my money on the newest eMac. You know, that was
Yeah.
back when eMac was the thing.
What's the eMac?
It was a computer by Apple.
They made an eMac? I heard of the iMac. I never heard of
It
an
was
eMac.
because eMac was upper
Like, that was an
echelon,
upper
man.
echelon.
That was like
$20,000.
iMac was for
that-
everybody
yeah,
else. That was like, but eMac was like, you knew you were like serious. You were doing some business with eMac.
I got an eMac.
So I got the eMac with the Final Cut Pro, the whole deal, you know. And I used to make movies with my friends and stuff like that. And we used to do a lot of that stuff, and then I went to school for it for community college. You know, it wasn't the best. I couldn't afford BU, but
So, did you do anything with that? Like, did you make some movies, make some things?
no, yeah, I did some stuff. You know, I made a few small films and stuff for school and whatnot and everything else. And then, you know, life hit me, and then I just had to.
Yeah, life has a way of doing that.
Yeah, and then I just, you know, had to get to work. You know, and I had to start making some money and survive. You know, and it wasn't an option. And one of the things about the movie industry is, especially for actors and a lot of people involved, is a lot of times you got to work for free.
Oh, well, most of the people in my movie work for free.
So that's part of that's one of the things, and let's talk about that. I mean, so is that the same thing on the set of your movies? Do you have like a lot of, you know, any grad school people or people that are
grad school so much? Most of the people in my movie are
like
striving actors.
interns, basically.
I was certainly not trying to
that.
take advantage of anybody, but I wasn't in the position. Like, if I had to pay everybody fair union wages in my movie for what that would be, there wouldn't have been a movie.
Yeah.
So I had to have people who wanted exposure. The flip side of it is this. If you're trying to get into a studio production, say you're trying to get into, you know, whatever, a $4 million movie put out by United Artists or whoever, you know, you're going to have 300 people applying for one little 4-line part, you know, that pays, you know, maybe not a lot, maybe $1,000, you know, and you
need those 4 lines, buddy.
I'll do it for my living room. You're going to literally be competing with 400 or 500 people for that part, and you're going to have to spend hours and hours and hours submitting videotaped auditions, and you know, to get one of these parts maybe in a year or something. You know, trying for maybe you tried for 50 of them and you got one.
And it's so unknown too. You don't know if you're going to get.
And then that does, and you don't necessarily get it. So that's a lot of money and time out of your thing. You got to get reading partners. You got to videotape. You got to have equipment.
Meanwhile, you're paying rent.
Right.
At the same time.
In my movie, if I meet you and I
I
like you and I want you in a part, you don't have to do any of that. We bypass all that. Now, no, you're not getting paid, but no, you're not spending anything either. And at the end, if my movie makes money, you get I am SAG signatory with a lower level contract called micro budget. But if we distribute nationally, which I'm thinking we will, now all of a sudden the distributor picks up that tab and does pay you for it. So you're gambling on the fact that the movie might do so. I mean, even if it doesn't, now you have
But then not only that, like they can use that as, all right, look,
it's on your resume.
Here's my resume. Look what I've done.
You have an IMDb credit. You have an Internet Movie Database credit, and you've been in a movie with Tom Sizemore, with Rockwell, with Andrew Yevish. You know, so it's like you know, and anybody that you've worked with, if they make it, they do something. Now you've worked with them.
Right. Like you said, Hollywood's not about that. It's about making friends.
It's about that networking. It's about that making friends. I want to go into a little Hollywood angle here. So one thing we do in Hollywood a lot of is what they call networking parties. We have these parties. We schedule them sometimes. We have people like influencers on Instagram and stuff like that who are good at reaching out to interesting people and grouping them together and getting them together for these events. And the events don't cost anything to go to. Sometimes they do, but we have them at higher end places. Like we did one recently at the Edition Hotel, and you might pay $25 for a drink, but you drink your 2-3 drinks. You spent your $75, $150 if you have a date, and you've hung out for 2-3 hours with people who are interesting and might have a little, they're not A level people, but they're B minus to B plus level people who might have something going on, and you can catch on to something, you can get a gig, and these happen all over the place. They're all over LA, and part of being
not for nothing, it's probably just a good time too. You get
it's a great
you get
time.
to dress up and go out, and you get to put on your best outfit.
Absolutely, you put on a cool outfit, and there it's not like when you're dressing up like in New York, like with a suit where you look like everybody else. There you're looking to stand out. So I wear my cowboy hat, I wear my little rhinestone shirt and a jacket over the, I try to get a look where I look sharp and I look handsome, I look good, but I stand out. And the girls are all dressed, in their dresses, they're looking sexy, they're looking good, and of course they want to be, remembered for their brain and their talent, but it doesn't hurt if they look phenomenal, and we remember them for their sex appeal, because that's part of, one of the unfortunate but maybe fortunate truths in Hollywood is, you're a good-looking girl, and you have a unique look. You have a leg up on a lot of other people. I mean, you're going to get noticed a lot, and
I think that's just in general in life.
in life.
But I feel like in
Especially
Hollywood too, you need
acting
that
and modeling.
unique though, because I mean, there's so many beautiful women out there, right? I mean,
Right.
it gets to the point where how many of the same
Right.
size, hair color, eye color women do you get to pick from? Like,
Well,
you have to
now-
have some kind of
Right.
unique trait,
Hot
right?
blondes have a hard time getting cast. Right now, it's like everybody wants an ethnic look because Hollywood's sort of pushing that agenda a little bit. We want, they have that sort of somewhat ethnic, if you're a person of color a little bit, you're a little ambiguous where you're from ethnically.
I think
it's
it's
like,
kind of it's because it's been it's one of those things where it's been it's I'm trying to how do I put this?
Been neglected for
Yes.
so long.
yeah,
it's been-
well,
it's
right,
been
it
known
hasn't
now
been
it's-
there.
So
Yeah.
it's like, all right, yeah, definitely like.
And I mean, and how many like hot blondes can you, like, I mean, that was the thing in the 50s and 60s and Maryland and all that. But I mean, that's
I
been
mean, probably
been there,
right up
been
to the
done.
90s too, at least, right?
Maybe,
I mean,
well, I don't know. I mean, I think
Pam
we kinda,
Anderson, all
Cameron
that
Diaz.
stuff.
We always
Paris
had one
Hilton.
here and there, but the thing
Yeah.
about Cameron
Cameron
Diaz,
Diaz.
thing about Cameron Diaz, she wasn't just there for her look. She could act. She was funny. She had a personality. If you have a
But
personality,
that's the thing
it's
is all these
charisma.
people have personalities and everything else, but like you said, sometimes
You'd be surprised.
Sometimes it's literally just based on looks. I mean, a lot
You'd
of
be
the time.
surprised. The looks is where it starts. Maybe you get the phone ringing because you need a good-looking girl for a lead role or whatever. But if they don't have charisma, that's going
Yeah.
to translate
Yeah.
to where people are going to identify with her or see something interesting or make you laugh or something. Then you don't have anything to go by. You got
So
to
that might get you the call into the audition, but that might not get you. That definitely won't get you the part, right?
Unless you sleep
you
with
got
the
to be able to
director.
follow
start-
through.
Oh,
Well,
Jesus, what are we going Epstein here?
Weinstein. Or sorry,
Weinstein.
no, different
We
one.
got a Weinstein. Epstein was
Different
only
one,
if
sorry,
you're
it
into
was
like,
Weinstein.
That's a totally
like-
different
It was
podcast.
child
Epstein.
actors
It
maybe
was
or
Epstein.
something.
And by the way, he didn't kill himself.
I don't know. It's like, I'm a really an Occam's razor believer. I think he did.
So
I think JFK was shot by Lee Harvey Oswald. I mean, it was
yeah, that's for another show.
So
Any other
anyway,
podcasts out there about all that stuff? Hit me up. I got a guess for you.
I know, right. So so that's kind of a summation in Hollywood. The other thing I'll say about Hollywood is the diet is much different. I mean,
What? Did you say
the diet.
Diet?
The diet, yeah. I mean, if you try dating out in Hollywood and stuff, and you're like a meat eater, like that's a big
Frowned upon now.
That's a no-no.
Yeah, like a lot of these
Oh,
girls are like, listen, I really honestly believe they
I'm screwed.
they manufacture food
Phil, you're
allergies. They manufacture
I'm not
food
trying to go
allergies
there,
so they
don't
don't
worry.
have to
That's
eat
why
certain
they're
stuff.
gonna ship us.
They're like,
in.
I'm vegan, I'm gluten free, I'm lactose intolerant. I'm like, really? Wow, that's interesting. What do you eat? It's
Water.
like-
They
it's
just
like-
survive on water.
It's like I need my lawn mowed. You can have all the grass you want. It's like, and the funny thing is, I have an AstroTurf lawn, so that doesn't even work.
Children's
You
souls.
know, so. Eat children's souls. Yeah, for all you QAnon followers out there,
Oh my goodness.
I'm in Hollywood. Actually,
We are
I can
getting
tell you
off
what
the
the real
rails here.
scoop is.
real
We
scoop,
actually,
yeah.
we actually drink, children's blood
Oh my
and
God.
things.
All
like
right,
that. No,
anyway.
just kidding.
Let's get back to the job.
So you wrote your movie based on characters and your time from when you went out there. Like, how long does that take? And did once you decided, all right, I'm not going to go the actor route. I want to make my own movie to give myself the exposure. What made you come up with, all right, I'm going to write it as I meet these people, and how long does that take? Did you give yourself an end date or a certain time you wanted to finish that at, or did you just let it happen and kind of went with it for the 2 years?
I want to add on to that too and say, how did you do it? Did you literally have a pen and paper out there? I mean, did you have like a notebook you went and bought at CVS? And
never-
you met these people and you wrote down the guy's name?
just
and
got
you
an
wrote down
iron
notes?
memory.
I was that kid
Or
in
did-
Hollywood.
or do
I
you
was that
use your
kid in high
phone?
school who
Like-
never took notes.
Are you
ever.
like on your
I
phone
never
and you,
studied
like,
for a test in my life
meet
ever.
this guy and take notes? I mean, how do you,
You know.
keep track of all these people and everything? And like, do you have like notes that you keep and on
No,
each
no
person you
notes.
meet?
I don't keep any notes. They're all up here. I never took a note in my life in school. I pretended to. I would be drawing pictures of my teachers looking funny, and or other things, But I never did anything like that. I always just would meet people. I was usually in different stages of intoxication, of happy hours and things like that, and I would be interacting with people and having really good conversations and remembering some of the things that happened naturally in the conversations, and then I would import them into the script. So there's a big scene, I think you saw some in the trailer, where I tell my friend that I'm making a movie. My best friend who lives out there, and he invited me out there to go and see what I could.
Is that actually your best friend in the movie?
He's my best friend in the movie. He's
one
of my best friends.
In real life.
He's one of my best friends in real life, and he plays my best friend in the movie, who plays the part. Now we have this kind of like love-hate relationship. He's a little bit passive-aggressive because I think he's secretly jealous of my success and talent a little bit. He was working for the man. He worked for ABC for a lot of years, and he had a lot of connections and things. And I was like, "Oh, help me produce the thing." He's like, "Well, fuck you. I'm not helping you produce shit. Who are you? You're fucking nobody. You're just coming with a bunch of fancy clothes and East Coast bravado." And I'm like, "You're the one who told me to dress this way, So it's like, his name's Adam. He's a good guy. And anyway, he's like the, if we were swingers, he was the Vince Vaughn to my Jon Favreau in the movie. And he, he's like the kind of somewhat sleazy best friend who gives you the advice that's not supposed to work, but really does, And
so is Taylor.
No, I'm just
Better start listening.
Yeah, I don't know where I was going with all that, but yeah. I mean, what was the original question? We got off on the track one. Where were we here?
So, I mean, you were writing this movie as you went. You know what I mean?
So
how many people did you come across before you're like, you know what?
And did you include
Okay, well, let me answer the first question. So he told me that you'll never make this movie. He's like, fuck you. You're not going to make a movie. Who the fuck are you? This and that. Now he's like got a main part in this movie. It's done. He's like, it kind of impressed me a little bit. It's like
you want him over?
I kind of want him over a little bit. Now I was like, well, now that you're there, can you help me? Come around with some of that producing. Well, I don't like it that much, So, the second question was, how much of this? Go ahead.
Like, how long like I said, you went out there and you went to the acting class. You said, this isn't for me. I'm going to make my own movie.
Well, I still went to the acting class a long time.
I know. But
I actually cast a lot of people from the acting class.
How many people did you start talking to before this is my movie? You know what I mean? Like, these characters are my movie.
Did you know that you were going to make the movie
when I went
off the bat, and then you went and talked to the people?
No.
Or did you talk to the people and then you realized, wait a minute, I might have something?
Okay, so I started doing something similar to what you're doing here. I was doing a little vlog on Facebook called Margarita Quest, where I would go around from different bars, and I would say, who has a good margarita?
I thought that was like a video game or something I didn't know about.
Margarita Quest. Yeah, so I would go to these different interesting bars, and I would show on Facebook these little. Back then, Facebook was the thing before Instagram, and we used to show these little like. I'm at this bar in Arizona somewhere, and they have this really good margarita. They mix salt and tahini on the rim with a little lemon zest, and it's a cucumber hibiscus margarita. And the bartender's really hot, and her name's Daisy, and I would show a picture of her, and we would do all this kind of stuff where whoever I was talking to, I was kind of documenting my travels through margaritas.
Wow.
And I got some good feedback online for them. They were entertaining. And I was like, we could kind of take the same idea and make it into a movie. So my original movie idea was based on a Twilight Zone episode called Come Wander With Me. I was like, I'm wandering throughout the country. So let's come wander with me and see where it takes us.
Like old Twilight Zone?
It was old Twilight, like Rod Serling, old Twilight Zone. And the Come Wander With Me episode was really about an old rockabilly singer, and he was kind of doing the same idea, but I didn't want to steal somebody's idea. I kind of wanted to do something kind of original, and I still like to wander a little bit. But
gosh, that's really hard nowadays too.
I know, it's
hard to do anything original because everybody's done everything.
Well, this is totally original.
Sometimes it seems that way.
Movies,
this idea is totally original.
Well, because
it's
your story.
Original to you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I don't really watch TV very much, other than the news and sports, and an occasional movie. But so I don't really have any time to steal anything. Somebody was like, "Oh, your concept reminds me of Entourage." I'm like, I never saw Entourage.
See, that's good.
Don't fucking bullshit me. Yeah. Like, no, really, I never saw Entourage. I never saw an episode in my life.
Actually, same thing with this podcast. I don't actually listen to podcasts. I've never really listened to any, and
which is what shocked me when you told me you were doing a podcast.
Yeah.
But
So now I'm at a part in my
Here we
movie
are.
where, not to change the subject, but to get you to the next level of where we have to go, I'm actually looking for investors. I'm looking for distribution and things like that. Doing the business end. Now that we have a finished product, I didn't just go to somebody with a script.
Yeah.
I went with a finished movie or an almost finished movie.
Is that intimidating to to put yourself out there to all these people? Like, what do you do? Do you do like a numbers thing where you're just like, if I put out 100, I'm gonna get one call back? Like,
well, I don't know. I'm
Like,
not
how
even
does
there
that
yet.
work?
I'm just kind of putting it out there to whoever. I'm trusting the people that I'm working with who've done it before, who know a little about what they're doing. And, I had one potential investor, some guy, I'm not going to mention his name, but he was sending me pictures to impress me from his private jet that he said he was driving. He was flying to L.A.
But you're probably like, no shit. I know you got money. That's why I'm trying to
He
talk
was flying to L.A. to talk to some higher ups. And then
Are you going to give me your money or not?
He proceeded to tell me how terrible my movie was and like how bad the acting was and all this other stuff. Yeah. And I was like, well, real rich people who really fly private jets don't brag about it.
Yeah. So I got a question for you too.
Yeah.
How does that feel? How does it make you feel like when people tell you like when you get bad response
about
your projects and your movies?
I don't care. Hey, listen.
Like, how do you deal with that?
From the beginning of this movie, I was told it was something, even by my best friend, it was something I'm never going to be able to do.
Yeah.
You're never going to finish your script. You're going to be getting high the whole time and try to chase after some tail. And, you're never going to finish your movie, So, I was like, well, I proved you wrong. Here's my script. Okay, all right, you got a script. Well, now what's the next spot? Oh, well, you're not going to shoot any of it. Well, we just shot 5 scenes. Oh, well, you shot 5. You're not going to finish the movie. Well, here, we just finished. Well, all right, you get a little bit of credit, but, you're never going to be able to sell it. It's just another...
Sounds like an awful dad.
Yeah.
Yes, Adam, you're an awful dad.
Like an abusive dad. You're never going to make it, son.
So now, do you need the investors? Like, you want to go to, film festivals? Like, would that be a next step? Like, putting them out at independent
isn't something
film
that's going to cost me a whole
or...
lot, but... to get to the
Is that
right
something
film
you
festivals.
can do to get more exposure?
Absolutely.
Or you plan on doing that?
You can get your investors at the film festivals. I have a few obstacles with the film festivals. I got to get to the right Screen Actors Guild contract that'll make it happen. And obviously, I don't have the money to do that, so I need an investor to kind of come and at least step up that kind of cash, which isn't much. In the way of movies, it's like my movie. Give you an idea. There was a movie called Moonfall that cost $145 million to film. They made $60 million on it, which means they lost $85 million on it.
So there's money to spend out there. Come on, guys.
So there's money to spend.
This movie's already made.
My little movie that I put
$50,000,
$60,000 into, so far, if you put in another, 30, 40 grand to pay all the actors and do all these things, and it makes $100 million, we're doing pretty fucking well here.
Yeah, I mean, you did all the legwork pretty much already.
You don't have to do anything. It's like the main money that you're putting in is press and advertising. I mean, you put in press and advertising.
I mean, shit, for an investor, fuck, I mean, 40 grand, that's nothing to lose. That's a write-off. That's less they pay in taxes.
And the public's gullible. If you saw my movie on billboards in Hollywood and in New York on the little subway thing, there's cardboards they put up where they're doing construction. If you saw my movie on that, you would want to go see it.
Listen, the trailer was hilarious. I would watch it.
The trailer was good, and that was not even the best trailer. That was like our first trailer when half the movie was shot.
Yeah, but
I mean, for what you spent making it, you'd make that money back, no problem.
I spent $400 making 3 trailers.
Exactly.
But what you spent making the whole movie, even with an investor,
exactly.
You'll make more than $100 grand on that movie, easy. I don't know why.
Well, that would be a disappointment. If we
we watched the clip, and I wasn't
I'm just saying, nobody's going to lose.
No, we're talking 7 figures on the movie. We need to make in the 7 figures on the movies to where listen, if you watch my movie, it looks like it's a $500,000-$600,000 budget movie at least. It really does.
So that's what I was going to say. I was going to say when I watched the clip, I was like, at first you didn't tell me it was a comedy. You didn't tell me anything about it.
Yeah.
You just played the clip, and I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be looking at some of his acting roles as like serious or what?
Yeah,
Or if I was supposed to be, I didn't want to insult you by laughing, but
no,
but
it's
inside,
a comedy.
and then when I was like, "Wait, is this a comedy?" and you were like,
Yeah,
"Yes," then I was
it's
like,
a
"Oh,
comedy.
good, I can
Oh,
finally
yeah.
laugh."
Yeah, so
because it is. It's actually funny, and it's funny for all the reasons that. I mean,
it should be, yeah.
It literally to me, I looked at it as I was like, this is kind of almost making fun of big productions.
It's totally is making fun of big productions. So I'll break down for you. You guys are getting an exclusive here. So there's things in my movie, little subtleties that people don't pick up on. Like number one, we are exploring like middle-aged men. Middle-aged men dating. Yeah, that's my serious. Middle-aged men, problems that face them with dating in their middle ages, dating girls that are younger and things like that. So those themes. And then there's things about like feminism, like what's the reverse to that? Like what's the how does feminism react to that? Then there's little things on like life in LA, like where's the little like caveats of how does LA life relate to everyday life in like Ohio or Pennsylvania or New Jersey or Connecticut somewhere, like how does it compare and contrast, we have those kind of things. We have things about like what's it like to be breaking into the film business, what's it like to be someone trying to be to fit into a very big pond rather than be a big fish in a small pond, you're now going into the major leagues. What's that all about? So there's all these little subtleties in the movie, and that's what you really got to look for. It's a lot of stuff.
I think there's a lot of stuff too in there that's going to go right over people's heads, but there's certain people who are going to watch it, and it's going to be spot on.
Well,
they're going to laugh.
I always believe in marketing.
There's some actual intellectual humor in there.
So when you do any kind of, I believe when you do any kind of art, any kind of media, there's the part that markets to the lowest common denominator. Well, everybody will see something about it. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I believe that good art has something above that, where you have to have these little subtleties that people who are a little more evolved from that lowest common denominator will get. Little references, little things, little gooses to the audience, where you're like, okay, here's a little something. Do you recognize that reference? So we tease you a little bit. I have little things built into the movie, build it little into the jokes, where if you're kind of lowest common denominator, you're not going to get it. But if you are just a little above that, you kind of are culturally enhanced a little bit, say, you're going to get a little bit of those references and kind of say, oh, okay. And also, have you ever noticed that a really great movie, you can't get everything from watching it once?
Yeah.
This is one of those movies. You got to watch it a couple times to get all the
catch all
little things, and be and study it a little bit and get some of the things. You watch it more than once, like, oh, I didn't see that before.
Well, you're gonna get people. There's, everybody in entertainment. A lot of people just want something. They want to get it all right in front of their face, all at once, without any thought.
Yeah, we're not a Marvel movie.
And yours seems like it's a little different.
No, it's got multiple.
It's definitely one of those movies. I think when you first turn it on, you're gonna be wondering like, is this guy serious or is he not? I can't
and we
tell,
don't ever really know.
But then as you progress through the movie, you're gonna realize like, oh my god, this is just this is funny. This is a comedy.
There's multiple layers to the onion. That's the whole point. You open an onion, you peel back the skin. It's kind of brittle. It's got all that stuff, and then you get to the next level, and you get into a sweeter and sweeter spot on the onion. You got to peel back those layers. And if there's multiple layers to peel back, that's always
okay. We already had a chef on here, so
I know.
So I got a question for you too, and it's
shoot.
It's I guess it's not necessarily a question. It's more so, a lot of people are going to listen to this podcast, and a lot of people, this is going to be listed as movie producer, producer, director, actor. So there's a lot of people out there that are aspiring to be this, and are aspiring to be actors, aspiring to be movie producers, aspiring to be in the business. So what did you do to educate yourself, about movies and stuff like that before you decided to just do this? Because you were saying that this is kind of a new venture in your life, and so like, did you read any books? Did you look into it? Did you do any research, or were you just basing this all off of like stuff that you already seen and you're just like, I have a vision and I'm going for it?
I'll stop you right there. None of the above. I just learned on the job. It's like, okay, you want to learn how to be somebody who's a landscaper and do stuff on yeah, it's good to study with somebody, but you know what? If you cut down a few trees and you mow some lawns, you're going to learn a lot more about it than somebody who's never done it and been told how to do it. I just mowed a lot of lawns and cut down some trees. Honestly, that was it.
You jumped right into it.
Jumped right into it, and I made mistakes that cost me fucking money.
Now, what about somebody who doesn't have any money? What would your advice be to them?
Get some money. You can't do this without money.
If you're gonna chase it,
this is not a poor man's game. Go there and suck some dicks on the street or something. I don't know. You gotta whatever you gotta do to get money. I don't know. It's you gotta friggin' go out there and get some money. There are a lot of people
sucking dick on the street in L.A.
No, I'm sure there are. I don't know those people.
I don't know. I haven't been to L.A.
Try not to.
Try not. The point is, you gotta go into the thing with enough. Look, if you're good at other things you've done in your life.
I know a lot of porn comes out of L.A.
Yeah, I mean, I know. Every porn movie should have the same title. People who have a lot more fun than I do. So,
you ever thought about doing that?
I would love to do porn. That would be
awesome. I mean, go into that movie. If this doesn't work out, is that your next step?
No, I don't want to. The thing about porno directors and producers is, it's I can't look at them as any honorable artists or whatever. I would be a porn actor.
Come on, Debbie Does Dallas was a classic.
It was, but that's because we're looking at it in our eyes now. I mean, with Devil and Miss Jones and all those, original. What was the one with Marilyn Chambers that they did? The original.
God, I don't actually know any.
There was Deep Throat with Linda Lovelace. I'm shooting myself for knowing all this.
Yeah, right, I was gonna say.
But,
I'm in the industry.
I just made a joke.
Yeah.
I don't actually really know about these things.
Yeah, I mean, there was this one actress who's in my movie. She actually plays the Bond girl, and I was saying, and she was saying, well, if you like sex that much, why don't you get into porn? I was like, well, I mean. I'm not I don't want to come out here and admit things I don't want to admit, but I'm not endowed like a porn actor. I mean, I'm not I don't have an 8-inch, 10-inch dick or anything like that.
Nobody said you had to actually act.
And she said, well, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be in big dick porn. So, well, you actually know about all this?
You just have to be...
Wait a minute. There's genres of dick sizes.
It's genres of dick sizes. I would never have known.
You just have to go get investors and be behind the camera and be the director.
I think you just got to sign up and go there
and see people, meet people
work for next to nothing and say,
learn from them, from their stories, and put them in the right character.
I mean, I feel like the internet pretty much destroyed that, though, because anybody can go make a porn.
Anybody can make a porno now.
And
thanks a lot, OnlyFans.
Well, not only that, but how much porn can you get for free, right? I mean, that's still got to be a thing.
Let
so how many people are buying porn?
You guys are interviewing me. I'm going to interview you a little bit.
Dylan.
Okay, so
that's still got to be a thing.
You see all these IG models. Isn't there more of a draw to seeing one of the girls on OnlyFans versus? I've never gone on OnlyFans, so I don't know, but there's got to be this draw to seeing some girl naked and doing porn versus somebody who's a professional doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's there's something about that. It's oh, I know her. I want to date with her.
I get, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it.
I want to something about that.
I can't see paying for it though.
No, that's.
Yeah, when it's
who's gonna buy that shit?
I don't agree with
when
you.
When it's $4
for
a
these
month.
OnlyFans, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Well, when it's $4 a month and it's literally.
I guess I'm cheap because
in
$4 a month, I'm not giving that.
To LA, drink is $15. I mean, it's $4 a month. It's almost a fourth of that. It's for a fourth of a drink, I can see this chick that I like, this internet model that I'm trying to date. I can see her naked. And,
All
I
right,
can see where that
if this
is.
doesn't work out for you, we're not going to see you anytime soon. Is there a porn award show?
There's yes, there's an actual people who didn't make it in Hollywood.
The Grammys.
Now you're in porn kind of awards show. It's called the the wannabes.
What is the award? What is the porn award show?
The AVNs.
Adult video.
Something.
So we're not going to see you on there anytime soon.
No, I wish.
Because this is gonna work, right?
I wish I could be on the AVN. If I was in the AVN, I would like to, so one thing I do in Hollywood.
It just kind of seems like you're the type of guy who you can accomplish anything.
I would totally do that. I would, yeah. I mean, I would be Ron Jeremy without the big dick and without the like the assault charges and all that. So,
one more thing I wanted to ask you is you were saying that your buddy was constantly saying to you like, oh, who are you? You come to L.A.
Who the fuck are you?
You know what I mean? Like, what are you now, a freaking movie star? Now you're a movie producer. Now you're this. Like, come on. And then you kept producing and producing. Does that negative?
It definitely drives you.
Yeah, does that
It
drive
definitely
you?
drives you. When people tell you can't do something, it makes you want to do it that much more. It makes
some
you
people
want
that I can relate.
Some
to.
people it kills their spirit. I mean, it literally murders
that
them.
I can relate.
They're
to.
weak.
And they like go back into their little hole and they go, I'm never gonna be this and I'm never.
They're
gonna
weak.
do
They're
that.
never going to make it. They're never going to do anything because they're
What
not,
the people who feel that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, nothing makes me madder than you can't do that. Like, oh yeah, fuck you, I can.
So you're
It
like,
makes
That drives me more than anything
Remember
else.
when you
Go
were a
ahead.
little
Tell me I
kid?
can't do it, and I'm going to
Everybody
do it
out there
10
who's
times
listening
better
to this
than you when I'm
podcast
done.
right now who wants to do something and somebody told you you couldn't do it, get your ass out from underneath the covers and
Absolutely.
fucking go do it.
Remember
because that's what works.
Remember when you were a little kid and your parents told you, "Oh, you're not allowed to do that," and made you want to do it that much more?
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Doesn't go away.
No.
Doesn't go away.
Nope.
When people tell you can't do something, it makes you want to do it so much more. When my friend Adam, who was working for ABC all those years, saying, "You have no idea what you're doing. You're never going to make a movie. You're never going to be able to do blah 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 blah." I'm like, okay, let's prove this motherfucker wrong.
That's it. Watch this.
Do you have people who give you positive reinforcement as well?
A lot. Well, now that I'm doing stuff and I put it out there, and like,
Would you say there's more positive than negative at this point in your life, or?
Well, let me put it this way: Muhammad Ali was the most loved boxer ever, and was also the most hated boxer ever.
Fair enough.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I have just as many people telling me that it's great as people telling me it sucks. And the trick is, I think, to not worry about. The thing is, it's only great when you get reactions to it one way or the other. If you get an extreme reaction, if somebody really hates it, that's just as good as somebody really liking it. Somebody really hates the acting, somebody really hates the writing, they still
You're
watch
going to
it.
get as much exposure from
Is that what
that
it
as
is?
you would as somebody doing something good.
I mean, the thing is, what you don't want to be is ordinary. You don't want to be the thing that, like, there's so many movies come out there that you watch and you're kind of entertained by it, but then you just forget it the next day.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a movie that's so bad, you fucking remember that it's so bad.
Freaking Sharknado. I mean, remember what happened to
My movie's way better than Sharknado.
No, I know, but that became like a cult thing. Like somebody made this absolutely terrible movie, like ridiculous thing, and there was like I think they're up to like Sharknado 5. I've never seen a single one, and I never will. But there are people out there who've seen it, and it became a thing.
But you got to remember, it's subjective. Art's subjective. Movies are subjective. Art's subjtive. Your podcast is going to be subjective. For every person that hates it, you're going to have 10 that like it, or vice versa.
Yeah, but this episode is going to give you a lot of ratings.
Absolutely.
Let's hope so.
From Hollywood, come on.
There's going to be some people who like it, and there's going to be some people who don't.
So, the thing I'll tell you about that is the haters are good. The haters are what you want. You want people who hate you. They hate your stuff so much that they're talking about it. If you can get people to hate you, it's even better than people who like you, because people who like you like other shit too.
See, that's a weird concept for me to wrap my brain around, because I'm not in this industry.
Because you're
And in my
ordinary.
industry, when people hate you, you just don't have a job anymore.
Well, not if you're self-employed. I mean,
So now doing this podcast stuff, I mean, I've even had arguments with Taylor. They're in the booth. Hey, Taylor, give me a wave. He's like, yep, yes,
Hey,
we
Taylor,
have.
give us a
Taylor
wave,
and I
give
have
me
been
a
on the
wave. I can't
same
even see
side
you,
for
but I
the
want a
most
wave.
part about all these arguments. Because
Taylor-
Luke
yeah,
just
Taylor's
doesn't
giving-
get his head around exactly what
Jesus.
you said is
Yep.
what we've been telling him.
Yep. I know.
The main
I'm
thing
not
I would
used to
say
it,
is
and I'm not used to
just go out there and do your art. Because if you're going to fail based on what somebody else tells you is good or bad, you're not, you're going to compromise your art. Go out and do your art. What you think has actual real integrity. You think it's the real thing. You know it speaks to you and you have experienced it. That's where the art comes in. Don't worry about what if somebody likes
Jeez,
it.
I cannot. This is like hitting hard for me. You know, I mean, I'm taking this like seriously because we literally just had a discussion about this podcast, is, you know, what material do we put out? What do we? And I'm err on the caution side, and you know, then Dylan and Taylor are like, fucking send it, man. You
Just
gotta send it. You gotta give it.
Don't worry about people who don't like it. You do your art. You do what feels real to you at the time. You put it all out there. You let it all hang out. Don't base your, look.
Well, you don't want to do something fake either. You don't want to do
that's
something
what
to make for
defines
somebody
fake.
else, and then all of a sudden you're not happy with what you're doing anymore.
You know what? I'm going to give you a word that's probably going to get me sued, but it'll tell you the total.
As long as it's you and not us.
The total word that is all based on what's fake and what's like art compromise based for the sake of selling and not offending people.
Taylor, get ready with that beep button.
Disney!
Oh, I have a 6-year-old
Disney.
daughter. That's my arch nemesis. Let me tell you.
Dude, they're making shit that is just so fucking
Garbage.
compromised.
Let me
Look
put
what they did to the Star Wars
Let me put a
franchise.
disclaimer real quick.
It's terrible.
Hello, this is Luke
It's
from Johnson
fucking
Steve.
terrible. It's so bad. They like put this
We
stuff
don't
out there. It's like,
represent
let's be on. Let's just make sure we have a black protagonist, and we have like a female hero, and we have a this and a that, and it's like, where's the fucking story?
Yeah.
And then they're on and they don't even think about stuff like this. Like, you're on a like planet-sized and Earth-sized Death Star, and you can find the people you're looking for within 5 minutes. It's like
Garbage.
it's terrible.
It's
so bad.
And now you got to buy the streaming. That's the
I
worst.
mean,
The writing is so bad. The writing is so bad.
I'm not gonna lie, but I am actually gonna agree with you on the sense that I feel like a lot of art today is getting lost in social subject, like
Political
correctness,
correctness.
like political correctness, and everybody being socially acceptable. I feel like a lot of art is being hurt today by everybody being careful and not wanting to offend this person, wanting to include this person, wanting to do everything, and you can't just create something anymore and just create it and not have to worry about those things.
Totally true. Let me tell you a little background on my movie. So the first responses I got when I started putting out like scenes out there in my acting classes with, like a lot of the people who were reading them were kind of, they were like woke, and whatnot. And I would get this response like, "Oh, your script is very misogynistic." It's like, well, I kind of grew up in the 80s.
Well, it comes from a misogynist.
I mean, it's
Of course it's going to be
It's
misogynistic.
kind of going to be. I mean, it's like,
You know what I mean?
what's wrong with that?
Did you meet the guy? I mean,
we're a little bit
listen to my
misogynistic.
podcast. You
Okay,
understand why the script is the way it is.
We're a little bit misogynistic, and I put a scene in my movie about that. It's
Look at the background. I mean, it's.
I have a whole scene in my movie dedicated to like this female lead telling me off about how misogynistic my script is and why she doesn't want to act in my movie. So,
did that actually happen?
So that's actually part of the movie.
no, actually, it was a ambiguously gay guy in my acting class who actually called me out on being misogynistic. The woman who was playing the part didn't care.
So it really happened in real life. Somebody called you out.
A little bit, yeah. I'd say, this is very misogynistic. You don't actually meet women like this in real life. I'm like, well.
Well, there is such a thing as porn, so.
What's a funny thing, again, in Hollywood? And this is going to be a little touchy, but, you guys like that. So, there are women in Hollywood who are, like, so, like, feminist and, like, anti being used as a sexual object, but yet they have OnlyFans pages, and they'll go out there and, like, put like sexual pictures of themselves out there, but I don't want to be seen as an object. Like, what's that all about? Like, if you really have that conviction, then don't do an OnlyFans. You're like literally selling your sexuality, but you don't want to be seen as a sexual object. I mean, isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? I mean, it's kind of
right.
Practice what you preach. At
practice
that point,
what you
right?
preach. If you really don't believe in it, then don't go exploiting yourself. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
I'm sure they're getting.
stick to your
I'm
beliefs.
sure they're getting a pretty good coin off that too.
They probably are. I wouldn't know. I mean, if I could get money for marketing
All I know
myself
is
on
they've got
OnlyFans,
none of my coin.
I mean, I would totally.
And none of Dylan's coin.
Absolutely
Hey,
not.
you guys think I could do that? Could I like do some sexy poses on OnlyFans? I'd probably get a lot of like gay guys like subscribing to
We
it.
will take some pictures.
Then again, like, who
before the end of
cares?
the
You
They
know?
got
night.
more money than I do. Take it.
We'll take some.
Fuck, if I could, I would.
We will take some pictures here before the end of the night, but they are, unfortunately, we can't give any money for them. They're just going to be for the social media. Are you okay with that? Can we actually expose your face and
You
and
can.
Can we put some links out to your
You
projects?
can do whatever you want. I'm one of those
people.
people. So I remember.
Because normally we do everything here. We try and do it anonymous because we
No,
don't want
I'm
to get
not
people
like
in
that.
trouble. And
So I'll
stuff
give
like
you an
that. You're
idea
like,
where
no,
I'm coming
fuck it.
from.
Put
When
it out
you're your
there.
own boss, you're not worried about getting fired.
You're not going to fire yourself.
No, I'm
are
not
you?
going to fire myself. So I'll give you an idea where I'm coming from. So the other day, well, not the other day, it was like about 5 months ago. But anyway, so like I got this like email from this, I don't know who it's from, but they were like, we have access to your, like, your password is such and such. And it was like, yeah, that's my fucking password, motherfucker. And like, we have you in compromising sexual positions on camera and yada yada yada, and we're gonna, like, unless you pay us $2,500, we're going to expose you to everybody and send on your list. And I was like, can I get a like set of like 8x10 color glosses?
I was going to say.
They didn't know what
Sorry,
to say
bud,
with that.
I
They were
beat
like,
you
you're talking
to
to the
it.
wrong guy. I'm like, I want publicity. It's like,
Yeah.
you
Oh
can
my
like
God.
expose me in any way you want to, and like it's fine. You know, I'm fine with that.
That's, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Look, that's fine. Send me the check.
I aspire.
I'll pay you to put
I
those
aspire to be a
pictures out,
has
so it
been,
doesn't
because that
look like
means
it
I
came
was a
from me.
someone at some point. You know.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh my god.
You know, I aspire to be like, like have that sex tape. That puts me on the level of Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee if they had one. I don't know.
So give me one last message to the public and to anybody out there who wants to aspire to do what you're doing, and then we're
Then
gonna
definitely
wrap
where
it
we
up.
can find you on social media.
Okay,
Shout
I'll
out to the link to your trailer and
Okay,
all
so
that.
this is the end of our interview. So I'm going to say, okay, fake it till you make it. Remember that. It's not a matter of faking. It's really not fake. It really means do the best you can with what you have. That's what it's about. My social media is Andrew Yevish, AndrewYevish on Instagram. Andrew P.C. Yevish on Facebook, AndrewPCYevish on Facebook. You got to really be special to get on my Facebook. But and then my movie is Fake It Till You Make It, aka Fitumi, Fitumi. And if you want to follow me there, you'll get all the things on, the hashtag stuff that I'm putting out there for the movie. You'll get the dates for the premiere and the theatrical releases near you, all the good stuff. I really want you to all be there. I mean, you're all important to me. Maybe not really. I mean, I don't know you, but I gotta say
Fans
that
are important.
Fans are important.
They're just as important to us here too.
If
And
you-
we're gonna have you. We're gonna get the links from you after the show.
Yeah, we'll put all the links.
If
on
you're
our
really a
Twitter
hot
as well.
chick, with a great body and all that, you're very important to
And
me.
you're in LA.
And I'm in LA.
Yeah.
It's kind of the one.
What
of
about
those
me and
things.
Dylan? We're kind of cute, and
These guys are great.
You
These
know.
guys are fucking so
Opposite of cute.
much better looking than I am. It's
we're
like,
kinda cute. We
I'm-
could use a weekend in LA. I'm just saying.
you guys can stay at my place. I have a pool and a hot tub. You guys will be good. We'll hook it
Airfare
up.
included. I'm just saying.
But I mean, these guys are so much better looking than I am. I'm like this, like wannabe filmmaker out in LA. I'm going on my talent. I have no looks at all. It's like, it's just the way it works.
When you make your next movie and you have a scene where you recorded a podcast,
this is totally it.
Well,
this has good
you
production.
got to invite us out to LA.
This studio totally has good production value.
so we can at least play ourselves.
The studio has totally good production value. I mean, whoever did the woodwork did a great job, and it's really nice. It's like I'm totally like living room envious. I want this.
It is pretty
Yeah,
nice
no,
studio,
I mean,
right?
It's pretty nice.
There's a
It's
reason
pretty
we're here at
fucking cool.
Sinister Studios. It's
It's cool.
badass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sinister Studios is
It's pretty
cool.
badass.
And he really, it's not just about sinister things either. I mean, he does a lot of stuff. He'll record anything.
Sinister's an interesting. There's a thing in Hollywood called Bar Sinister. It's at a bar called Bordner's. There's a club next door, and every Saturday they do Bar Sinister, which is all the gothy people dress up in vampire outfits and go there. It's fucking cool. So anyway, Bar Sinister in
The
Hollywood.
one time a week that the actual vampires can come out.
Yeah, I know they actually really suck real blood too.
Yep.
So it's kind of cool.
Excellent.
take you home, murder you, turn you into a vampire.
I know. I have
Happens all the
I
time.
put
It's
my
LA,
cowboy
right?
hat and my bangs on, and I'm all set. You know, LA is like that. You know, you're gonna have totally. If you guys are bored with your life, go to LA. Leave your spouse.
Vampires.
Go to LA.
AKA
have
porn,
fun.
porn producers.
You know, don't worry about the financial ramifications. Just go there. You might wind up homeless on the street, but it'll be worth it.
That's fine. Poor financial decisions.
At least you guys don't have a winter there. You know, you're homeless and warm.
Yeah, you can literally spend your homeless days on the beach. You go to like Venice Beach and like sell like your like your little paintings and things like that that you make and have a little tent, and you don't have to pay rent. You can literally live on the beach, right where millionaires live.
LA's gonna contact us and they're gonna be like, stop telling people.
I
to
gotta
come
say,
here
we should
and
probably
be homeless.
We should probably.
We already have too many homeless people. It's a giant problem.
We
Please stop
already have
promoting.
700,000 homeless people.
Please stop promoting to come to LA to be homeless.
I gotta say, we should end it on that, and that's the message to the youth.
Yeah,
Move out to
go
LA.
Move out to LA and be homeless.
Buy a
There you
tent,
go.
live on the beach, be homeless.
Or
You'll be very famous in about 10 years. There you
10
go.
years.
Or just go get a fucking job
Nah.
and then call us up and you can come in and
Don't
talk
get a
about
job
it.
till we run out of people to interview for jobs. I
think
think we
we're
have enough
ever
people
gonna
now.
run
Yeah.
out
So,
We do have a ton of
Good.
people.
Fake it till you make it, everybody.
that's it.
We want
All
more.
right. What do
We
you
want
say,
everybody.
Ruth?
Fake it.
I
till
say
make
thank you
it.
very much for coming in,
Yeah,
man.
definitely.
This is-
Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun.
Well, I hope I could compete with your other interviews. I mean, I don't know.
Oh,
if I, could,
but that's the
I don't
thing.
know if I could live
There
up
is
to that
no
tree
competition
cutter.
with all
it's
the
like-
interviewees because it's all so
It's
different.
so unique. Yeah, everybody has a different story, and everybody does a different
Each
job.
person's different. Each person's got a different take on life. It's that's what's so great
Yeah.
about this. So,
Good stuff.
but thanks for coming in, man. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure being here. It was a lot of fun. This root beer whiskey was really good.
All right.
All right.
Have a good night, guys.
Have a
All
good
right,
night.
guys.
Make sure you follow us on Facebook
Fake it
and
till you make
Instagram.
it. Come wander with me and cheers.
And I'll see you
That's it.
next week.
Good night.